Hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. My name is Maddie Brick. If you clicked on this video, welcome. Thank you for supporting me and coming along for the journey. It's just been like, if I'm being really honest, life right now is really good. Like everything's going well. Like from the outside, and my current situation is really good. Everything's super optimistic and hopeful, but with that, there is just some stuff that can be really overwhelming. And I don't know if y'all have ever been in a place where there's like big decisions to make, and you're just kind of like, what the heck do I do? Because, want God to like be the center. But if you are anything like me, where you're kind of a control freak, even in the slightest bit, it's really hard when you're in a place where you're like, maybe what you're being called into, or you have a feeling that maybe like this is where you need to go, or this is where you need to be, but you're just like in a middle ground where you're like, but I'm here and I don't know what's happening, and I kind of like, I want to be here, but I'm here and life is great here, but I also know that like I'm being called here. But you're kind of in this little middle region where you're like, do I just go? Do I just do it? Or do I wait for like the perfect sign or the perfect time? If you're anything like that, you're in a situation like me probably. But I just think that I really want to be completely transparent with you guys and let you know when I don't have it all together. So I thought, what better way than to tell you when I really don't have it all together? So I thought it'd be cool to kind of talk about where I'm at. But do you ever go to church and the message just like smacks you in the face in like a really nice way? Like sometimes there's the way where you're like, oh shoot, conviction. But then there's like the good times where you're like, okay, that was really encouraging. I had one of those where it was like kind of like both. It was like conviction in a good way. Because it's such a millennial move of me taking notes on my phone, even though I just bought this beautiful journal. It's perfect, and I took notes on my phone. It's fine. But it was really good. It was just like exactly what I needed to hear, but hard. So let's see. So it's Galatians 6 verse 9, and it says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Okay, so the first part, let's focus on the first part where it says let us not become weary of doing good. So it can be really hard when you know that there's other things to come, and where you're at now you can kind of get lazy with the responsibilities that you have right here, right now. And the responsibility sounds kind of like a boring, like a demanding thing of your time. But even if it's something great that you love to do, but it can become kind of drowned out by what you're more looking forward to be doing. So don't forget, like don't get tired of doing good things like right where you're at, because it also says the second part of the verse, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. So I know that sounds kind of like what, reap a harvest? I speak English. I know, so I'll explain. So when it says for at the proper time, I believe that means that, you remember, you know this, you believe this, really take hold of this in your heart. God does not, there is nothing new to God about your life. He knows absolutely where you're going to go to college, where you need to transfer to high school, what friend group is the best for you, what career path you need to take, what you're most passionate about, who you're going to marry, all of that. Everything that you could ever think of, even if it's like really tiny decisions. I don't want to like take away the little decisions and say that those are insignificant, because they're not. I totally understand that, because I know decisions in general are super hard. Even if you're like, I'm like very indecisive. So like I know decisions are just like they're just like an overwhelming thing in general. So I feel, but in the proper time, you will reap the harvest if we do not give up. So don't just drop the ball with where you're at, guys. Don't lose heart. Like, don't get tired of doing good right where you're at, going that extra mile for the people around you, going that extra mile for the people around you right here, right now. Don't get tired of loving your family. Don't get tired of loving that friend who is maybe like the lone friend, but like you also have this friend group, but you're getting like really annoyed with her or him, and you're just like, dude, I'm getting really tired of being super nice to you. Like, get a life. I want to be friends with them too. Like, what's happening? Don't get tired of being good or doing good. Don't get tired of doing good in exactly where you're at. Trust me, I know it's hard, because when you have your eye on the prize, you can lose sight of the prize that you have exactly where you're at. And it's not to say that you're not excited to like get to the next phase or to get to the next thing, but it is being a good steward or working well what you have right now, and in the proper time, God will see that faithfulness to what you are doing right now, and in the proper time you'll receive that harvest. The harvest as in like you'll receive all that blessing and everything that you do want in that next chapter. You will move into that at the right time. I promise. God has done this in my life countless amount of times, just like with college, with boys, with everything, like literally everything in my life. I always, like with work, like little things, like I would like not have a job, and then I would like freak out, panic mode, and then like, does God ever do that thing to you where you freak out, you decide to worry, you decide to be a worrier, if you're anything like me again, but then like God totally provides, and you're like, why did I worry? Every time I do this and I worry, I just stress myself out, and it's so unnecessary because God always provides. So what the heck am I doing? Why do I even think I have like the slightest amount of control? Control is like the biggest illusion ever. So anyways, but yeah, so don't lose heart of that, guys. That's like, I'm holding on to that too. I feel you. I think it would be really cool if whoever watches this video would comment down below, just like maybe whatever your current situation, like if you're like, maybe comment if you feel this right now too. You could comment what decision you have to make. You could comment what decision it is that you have to make. You could comment what career path you're like deciding between, what colleges you're looking at, whatever it is. Comment something below, just like be an encouragement to people coming to this video and knowing they're not alone with being like, hey, like maybe you even hate where you're at. You're like, I hate where I'm at, I'm ready to go here, but it's like not the right time. You know what I mean? But you could be like me where you're like, I do love, like I love this, but like this is what I also see happening, and it's just like, what's going on? And you're in that middle ground again. So whatever it is, like even if you don't, maybe you're like, I don't really know what that means, but I think I'm going through this, like I don't know what it is, just comment it down below, because I say that for a few reasons. One, I'd love to be praying for you. I think it's so important that we get to like talk about real life and pray for each other. And I think it's really important also like to just to write it out and acknowledge that there's something going on. Like this is a decision I have to make. Like be conscious of like, this is a thing. Like what you're going through is valid, and like here it is. I'm gonna put it out there, and like just know you're being prayed for. Whatever you write down, you're being prayed for, thought about, and it's cool because you can relate. You never know who's going through the exact same thing as you. So I don't know. I just think that'd be really cool. So along with all of this talking about being in that middle ground of just like not knowing what to do next, it is so easy to just like be overwhelmed with confusion. Like confusion of like, what am I even doing? What is my purpose? When is this gonna happen? Where is this gonna happen? How? What way? Who am I? What's the deal? Like I know it gets like really confusing and like overwhelming. first of all, I have to call that out and say that God does not bring confusion. So God does not want to confuse you. God is not trying to hide from you. He's not trying to overwhelm you. That is what we have like created in our mind. So I have to call it out in you right now. If that's something you're struggling with, I'm so sorry, because I know it's overwhelming. I've been a victim of my own little confusion bubble that I put myself in. So I get it, but I have to remind myself also that God does not bring confusion. He wants to be very clear with us. But right now, you are being tested because you're about to be blessed. So right now in this testing of confusion, praise Jesus. Like, I know that is like the last thing you want to do right now, because you're like super confused and you're like, what is happening? The last thing I want to do is sit down and worship, because I feel like I have no sense of like clarity in my head. So like, I don't even know if I believe what I'm saying. So I'll have a real transparent moment again with you guys. So the other day in the car, I was worshiping and I was like playing this song, and it was saying things like, Jesus, you're my one thing, and like, you're all I need, and like all this stuff. And I like totally, like, I believe that stuff, right? But like, do you ever have those moments where you're worshiping and you're like, do I really believe that? Like, do I really believe what this song is saying for my life? Like, it is so sweet to sing worship, and like, it's great lyrics and you're feeling it. But like, when you really think about it, in the midst of where you're at right now, you're like, do I believe this about God? Like, do I believe the words? Do I believe the scripture that he's giving me? Like, do I believe what Maddie is telling me, that God doesn't want to confuse me? Do I believe all this stuff? Or am I living that way? Am I living out this, like, the truth that God is like trying to tell me? So I had one of those moments where I was worshiping this song that was saying like, whatever you want to do, like wherever you want to go, and like, Jesus, you're my everything, you're my one thing. And I was kind of annoyed. I was like, okay, yeah, I want that to be true, but I was like frustrated, because I'm so confused right now. Like, I'm so overwhelmed. I want to know what's happening and I don't know what's happening, and I want to have control over all of it. So it was this moment where I was like, you know what? Sometimes you gotta praise and worship, and however that is for you. I know not everyone connects through worship music. That's just a big one for me. But some people, like, you could connect just by being outside, like being in nature is like really calming to you, and you feel like the closest to God there, so you feel like you can talk to him and feel him, and that's great. Like, that's a way. Some people feel that, like, I believe it is something you need to find, like, personal, like spending time with people is so good, and like talking about it is great, and having like a mentor or like a group of girls or guys that you can talk to is so great. But I think there is something so valuable about figuring out what way you connect with God when you're alone, like your personal time with God. I've also found that through journaling. Journaling is like really great too. I'm sure any way that you can find to connect with God, that's your personal way of connecting with him. So with all that being said, like, find your way, and like worship being my way was what I was doing in the car. But don't let your feelings dictate your praise and worship. Even though you're confused, even though you're frustrated, even though you're sad, mad, angry, maybe you're really excited. Maybe you're like, I'm not so upset about what's about to happen. I love that I'm here, happy here, but I'm like excited about what's next. But I'm just kind of like waiting, happy-go-lucky for when it happens. That's great too. But wherever you are, regardless of your feelings, praise and worship Jesus, because he is the same. He is the same God that has brought you breakthrough before. He is the same God who pulled you out of that awful situation 10 years ago, 5 years ago, yesterday, today, or he's about to. If you haven't received your breakthrough, if you haven't received your redemption or your moment, that is for you right here, right now. Jesus is your redemption. That's another thing. That's for a later day. But so I've had to learn to, like, regardless of how I feel, I had to sing those lyrics. And even if I didn't believe them, even when I was like, I'm like, I am like frustrated, God, like, I believe this, I know I do, but right now I'm just a little bit feisty, just a little feisty about it, but it's okay. So I had to sing it, and I was like, okay, God, like I'm gonna sing this until I believe it, because I know I believe it, but I need to like declare this over your situation, whatever it is. Don't be afraid to be like, you know what, right now I don't believe this. It's okay. Like sing it loud, because he didn't change. He is good. He is faithful. He still loves you. You're not too far gone. You aren't crazy. You're not alone. You're not insane. You're not stupid. I could go on. Basically, whatever lies you're being told right now, you aren't. You are wonderful, and you are more than capable. You're more than a conqueror. So be excited, because guys, I get it. Like I'm freaking frustrated too. So just like take a moment, do what you gotta do. Don't listen to your feelings, because those are gonna lead you way all over the place, places you don't want to go. And sing that worship song that you're frustrated by right now, that you don't believe. Just go for it, because that is so important. It is when your worship means the most, is when you're like don't know what's happening. Like in the midst of like when you feel like there's no direction, your worship means the most. Just worship however that is you may do. Just talk to God. With that being said, I know that's a lot easier said than done, because even today I had a moment in the car where I like was thinking about something that I needed to like decide, or that I needed to like work through in my head. And I was like, what should I do about this? And I was like, I should pray about this. And I was like, for a second, I was like, no, that's too hard. I was like, Maddie, what are you talking about? I was like, so you are telling me, honey, that you can't talk to the guy to God, who first of all knows absolutely everything about you and still loves you, even though you're a little crazy, and two, knows absolutely everything about your life, has all the answers. You can't talk to him? Really? You can't? That's too hard? Okay. I'm like, I had a moment and I was like, Maddie, what? Yes, you can. I was like, that is a lie from the enemy, that you can't talk to God, that it's too hard. I was like, just come as you are, be whatever state you are, and just talk. So I had like my little pissy fit, little like, hey God. I wasn't mad. I was just like, I did one of those things where I was like, I can figure it out on my own. But we all know how it goes when you try to figure it out on your own. We screw up, don't we? Yeah, we do. So, even when you're frustrated, talk to God. Do it. Because it is crazy how much my day transformed when I was like, okay, Maddie, like get out of your little pissy fit, talk to Jesus. So I did it. Obviously felt better. And I was like, gosh, I have a real attitude issue. This is a problem. So that is the encouragement to sum it up overall. You got this. I feel you. It can be frustrating, overwhelming. I get it. Don't get tired of doing good. In due time, in the right time, God will present that harvest because of your patient, faithful waiting. I promise I'm with you. I'm excited to tell you when all of this is unfolded for me too, because I'm along for the process. I'm along for the ride with you. So I'm ready to share in the excitement of just like whatever road that God has taken us on, y'all, and that we can just like rejoice in that harvest that comes. But don't get weary of doing good. Don't get tired of doing good right where you're at. Don't get tired of spending time with the people that you love here, even though you're ready to step into the next place and love people there. And 2, praise even when you're confused and overwhelmed, because it means the most. Praise, worship, do what you gotta do. He is still good, even though life is weird. So, yes. I love you guys. I feel like I just sounded really emotional, like I was gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry yet, it's okay. But anyways, I'm really excited to see what you guys have to say about your current situations. You can comment whatever the heck you want down below. I just want to hear about your current situations, what you're walking through, what stage you're in now, where you want to go, what college you're trying to go to, what high school you're trying to transfer to, what state you're trying to move to, whatever it is. Comment down below. Let's encourage each other, just like with our situations. We're not alone. So I love you guys. I really do.